Hello and welcome to In the Making, a series of conversations from North Bennett Street School where we connect with a range of new voices, fields, and perspectives. Before we get into our conversation, we want to thank the many supporters that make our programs possible, including the Massachusetts Cultural Council and our partners in craft. Thanks for joining us, everyone. My name is Kristen Odell. I'm an NBSS staff member and host of In the Making. This is our 6th season of In the Making, this programming series at North Bennett. And this season will focus entirely on crafting a business. 8 episodes between now and May we will speak with a range of NBSS alumni and community members to hear first-person accounts of what it's really like to start a business of the types that we train you for here at North Bennett. These are not necessarily lectures or lessons, but rather, and I feel often can be more effective, are first-person, real-time, real-life experiences shared with us. We start off this series with a topic that I feel strongly about, but that also is sort of baked into the culture here, which is shaping a livelihood. It seems that from my time here, I always meeting folks that come through the school are here making the decision to raise their skills in a craft or trade for the specific purpose of claiming, owning, taking control of, and shaping their livelihood. To build a self-defined livelihood molded to your particular life needs. I think that's reasonable to say, right? Totally. Okay. That's why Morgan Fogg and Jennifer Chen, thank you so much, were the ideal first guests of this series and this topic. Morgan measures and rigs racing boats and maintained that sort of stable bread and butter career, can I call it that?
Yeah.
Okay. As he came through the cabinet furniture making program. Jennifer Chen has maintained a long career in various aspects of performance, production, and management, traveling the world doing this work when she made the decision to grow her skill set into piano technology. I want to acknowledge that we're all here. 26 inches of snowfall cannot stop this community from getting to school and getting here. And especially thanks to Morgan and Jen for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Thanks for putting up with that very long intro. We're going to give you both a chance to speak to your careers in your own words throughout this conversation, but let's just start with this question. At the heart of this first episode is the idea that many craftspeople and tradespeople build livelihoods in multifaceted ways, balancing institutional work, which can offer stability and benefits, with private practice or independent creative work. While whoever's here and chose this path as a craftsperson or tradesperson, it's such an incredible path to take that we've chosen. It isn't always the clearest or the easiest. How has this multifaceted piece shown up in your own careers? And I don't care who starts. Who wants to speak first?
Hi, it's so nice to see everyone. So I had a career in the performing arts for quite some time. And a couple of years before coming to North Bennett had been helped co-found an interdisciplinary performing arts ensemble. And I was the only administrator sort of making money, working in my apartment alone for about 3 years. And so I had like my version of pandemic working. And was really thinking about how I wanted to spend my time and my days, and wanting to find a way to get back to my body. So I had grown up playing piano, and North Bennett was just a gift from on high. And I think the things, and we can talk about this a little bit more incorporated, but the things that I took from here and the things I learned about myself have manifested in this sort of multi-pronged way of trying to use all parts of my brain that I really enjoy, and experimenting to figure out how to feel like I am investing enough in the thing that I'm doing in a given moment and feeling like the other side also feels appropriately invested in. And so that's been a lot of experimentation. And right now I am still associated with the performing arts company. Um, and I have a strong institutional relationship with Tanglewood that kind of anchors my piano work. And then I also work for the Office of Yo-Yo Ma, which is and everything just sort of feeds itself. I never feel like there's a lot of track switching necessarily in my work because everything can um, inform the other. Yeah.
Dovetail, as it were.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
What about you, Morgan?
Yeah, I think similar to Jen, I think it's been really enjoyable to sort of build skills that sort of like tickle certain parts of the brain. Um, and I found North Bennett after starting a small business in the marine trades. And I had enough downtime to sort of pursue something that I felt was like I was just sort of dabbling in, but coming here kind of legitimized that training. And yeah, I think it was beneficial to devote that much time to learning some skill that I was really interested in, to sort of piece with this other side. It's really just sort of an amalgamation of skills that have sort of complemented each other in some way. Um, yeah, it's been really fun to just sort of stack skills uh, and sort of adapt to changing things. As far as building a livelihood was something that, yeah, obviously the financial stability kind of is essential, right? And then having the creative work or the creative pursuits sort of helps make that, uh, juggling that balance, I think was difficult at first, but yeah, having the two sides helps sort of scratch the itch of getting that the two, yeah.
Yeah, and we're gonna dig into the what's the priority, financial or creative, and how much they are both a priority. They don't have to be exclusive from one another. What you just said is a great natural path into the next question of a specific example of how your training at North Bennett has impacted your career and the opportunities available to you in your sort of institutional work. We'll just call it institutional, which is rigging and measuring boats. Can you give us an example of how what you took away from this place has given you more opportunity in that place?
Yeah, I think I think really what I learned here was how to learn independently. Um, I think that's the most valuable long-term skill that I've benefited from.
That's amazing. That's an intangible.
Yeah.
I was expecting like oh yeah, well now I can apply this woodworking skill to this, but that's really brilliant.
Well, I think in many ways, like the woodworking is something that gives me personal meaning, whereas the client work or institutional work is something that is essential for making a living. But having the two to be able to continue doing work that's maybe not as enjoyable and just slowly chipping away at building the skill set of building furniture and coming here to do that was a big step. And balancing the two has been challenging, but it's only getting, I think, easier now.
For you, Jen, what's a tangible or intangible thing that has
Yeah, I think going into this field, the thing that I love most about it is that you have to use all of your senses at once, and incorporating touch and hearing and like and your visual acumen all of those things sort of bring you back to your body in a way that I didn't sort of realize how helpful that would be in just navigating all other parts of my life, and using, like, finding a new pathways for my intuition that would help me make decisions in my personal and professional life otherwise. And so I've learned to sort of trust myself in different ways, um, and use things other than sort of this brainy black hole to think about, oh, this is the thing that feels right for this moment.
I mean, in earlier conversations, I'm going to jump way ahead a little bit here. In earlier pre-conversations we had about this topic, you shared with Morgan and I that institutional work taught you so much about, and we're generalizing institutional work as sort of the larger companies that Jen has worked with, and for Morgan, the
Clients.
all of your clients, yeah. And in Jen, you referenced how the institutional work taught you how to understand and sort of manage and work with groups of people, whereas this piano technology, and in your case would be bench work, teaches you the solitary work component. And how do the two speak with one another, and how much richer has that made you as a person?
Yeah, I feel like working in teams, especially small teams where you've committed to working with few other people, requires you to know a lot about yourself in order to problem solve together and work through conflict and find ways to make the environment one that feeds everybody being their best selves. And I think the best pathway toward that is really understanding yourself and how you work and what environments you enjoy being in and what kind of people you enjoy being with, and what your favorite method of communication is. All of those things are so essential for understanding how you work with others. And I definitely felt a huge leap in my ability to navigate interpersonal relationships in that way after kind of discovering a lot more about myself through this program.
Mm-hmm. Would you say?
I'd say very similar in that, my time here, and I think, I mean, it complements to some degree, but working with clients or, say institutional work, I think it sharpens your speed, your accuracy, your decision-making skills, communication. I think all of that is like very critical as you're building a business, but sort of focusing on that bench time or that time to just immerse yourself into something helps you think about how you can advance that in the other field. So yeah, I think they complement each other. There's certainly more time to think about those things or ruminate about how you do something at the bench. But yeah, working with clients or anything paid, it's got to be a good service that people are willing to pay for. So
knowing the two of you, is it fair to say that when we're talking about solo bench work or solo piano technician work, whatever form that's in for you that day, versus working in these larger environments, you're learning to give yourself grace and at your own bench, because there's no one to hear your expletive that you're yelling if you mess something up. It's just you. So you're having to give yourself grace, and I'm sure that you're carrying that into your other work with people. I mean, is that a reasonable thing to say too?
Certainly, I think it teaches you patience.
Maybe empathy, self-empathy.
Yeah.
Reading cues in other people that you can sort of relate to. That helps a lot. Especially, I've talked about it some with some of the piano tech students here. The act of evaluating a piano when you're watching an artist play it is so much more than listening to it. It's like watching how their hands react to the instrument, and even like how their head tilts as they're listening, how you kind of like have this empathetic pathway to understanding what their micro reactions are, how they relate to something that you can improve in an instrument, that is really essential.
Mm-hmm. These things we've talked about so far are sort of just the bone, like the good fortune experiences that you have working this multifaceted way. Let's talk about the cold hard truths. What is, for each of you, is this multifaceted shaping your livelihood this way a financial decision or creative decision or both?
The honest answer is both. It has to be, right? I think, yeah, financial stability creates that creative risk tolerance. And I think anyone who's claiming it's purely creative is maybe ignoring reality or subsidized by someone or something.
Yeah.
But finding like one valuable skill or niche, I think has been critical, at least for me. And that is able to support like the less predictable or desirable work that I want to pursue.
Yeah, it's definitely both. And I think, especially at the beginning of this experiment, acknowledging that I had to sort of like cross-subsidize my life a little to keep certain parts of it alive was definitely a part of how I had to approach things. And it continues to be an experiment. And I think the trickiest part about having it be both is also, I mean, the world is not really structured for gig workers. So figuring that out and making the space for just like pure life admin, which I find I still struggle with. That is the most difficult part of how I try to figure out my time now, is just managing my own personal life. But yeah.
This has now become a trending fad to have admin friend nights. Like instead of going out to a bar, you get together and you just take care of all the admin in your life.
Count me in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you dig into that financial versus creative piece? Because well, let me back up. The world is not set up right now for gig economy. In some ways, it's become so different from how we expected to even have the full-time career set up. So that's kind of why we're here, is piecing all of these things together to give you financial stability and without losing your mind in sort of this like straight, making the same thing every single day of your life. So I want to acknowledge that, yes, the world is just it's challenging. But can you dig deeper into that about the ecosystem of your professional life and just tell me what that looks like? I guess paint a week. What does your week look like when you're merging these two private and institutional practices?
For me personally, it's mainly 80% of marine trade work. A lot of it hinges on communication and scheduling. It's all very weather dependent, which is very challenging. So in my downtime, that's when I'm able to pursue sort of creative work. I keep a lot of personal projects going. I keep those active. I try to use materials that I already have in the shop, and that sort of sharpens my skills a little bit, keeps the excess down in the workshop, makes it manageable.
Can you describe your shop and what's the physical?
So I built out
ecosystem.
I spend way too much time there, but I built out a 40-foot container 2-3 years ago with another student at NBSS, Ian Hallowell. And in 2 weeks we built it out. And then over the past couple of years, I've been, outfitting it to be that much more efficient, which has been really fun. So I have all my tools, maybe half marine equipment and the other half devoted to woodworking. I have to wheel all my tools out of the shop because I don't have desk collection, but so a lot of hand tool work, which is really fun and peaceful. So when I have some time to carve out, I'm able to, cut some dovetails and have fun. But most of my time is spent working on boats or scheduling jobs, a lot of travel. So when I am in the shop, I'm able to pursue small projects, which is very enjoyable.
So just to be clear, the sort of physical setup of your professional existence is traveling all around on a boat, on boats.
Yeah, 2 boats wherever they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or in your container shop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is
Yeah.
located at a marina where I do maybe 50% of the local work. That's one of the bigger marinas in Rhode Island. And it's great. No one bothers me.
And Jen, your work is also, as you referred to, as seasonal.
Yeah.
And what does that set up? What's the physical construction and ecosystem of your?
Yeah. Yeah. I when I first started trying to juggle all these things, I was thinking about my life in units of weeks and trying to accomplish everything in 1 week. And I quickly realized that was ill-advised and impossible, because my brain was not able to invest enough in each thing. So I have since found this sort of equilibrium of really investing seasonally in something so that it feels better for all sides. So during the sort of academic year, I'm mostly working for sound postings, which is the Office of Yo-Yo Ma, and keeping up. That's about 60% of my time, and then keeping up uh, some advisory work with the opera company, and then some private clients, and then in the summer I'm pretty full on at Tanglewood, so I move out to the Berkshires for that. Yeah, and a lot of travel on tours and stuff.
I'm gonna re-ask this question at the end, but because we're talking about in this moment, seasonality, jumping around, you're kind of being pulled in different directions. Would you have it any other way? You can think about it if you want to.
I kind of grew up with the seasonality. So it's been very familiar, at least for me. And it's been nice to learn how to rest when your body needs it or the sun isn't up. And then in the summertime, yeah, stay awake as much as possible. And
With respect to the professional struggle, would you have it any other way?
I think if it were consistent, it wouldn't be as enjoyable. I think it creates, I think it creates a better environment for, various sort of every day is different. I like that aspect of it.
Well, I don't know if we do, but I talk a lot about pivoting here, especially when plans don't unfold as expected, which we all face in professional, personal, societal situations. Did you anticipate shaping your livelihoods this way, or were you initially, even as a young person, expecting a more singular career path and maybe envisioning that more, okay, I'm going to be in an office 5 days a week and work at a desk and still live out my passions, but in this very formulaic way?
Definitely the latter. I definitely thought I would be sort of like, yeah. And I'd worked at the Boston Symphony for a good amount of time and just thought I would kind of live things out there for a bit. And what I remember most actually about thinking about what I would be doing was thinking about job titles, and think, oh, I want to be like in this kind of role, and what I ended up realizing was, it was less about the title and more about how I wanted to spend my time and with whom I wanted to spend it. And that could take many different names. That once I shifted my thinking toward that, it sort of opened up a lot of a different way of looking at what a life could be.
Yeah, I think very similar in regard to thinking about what I wanted to do and thinking that I had to choose one role and or one lane. There are times where I still think I do, but I've learned that building these different skills over the past, I guess, since I was 14, so almost a couple decades. I think the zigzag of jumping from one trade or something to the next, I think has helped build confidence in being able to pivot. And I think those zigzags are definitely the key to at least finding success in terms of building a livelihood.
We talked about staying nimble and what that has given your careers and just your, you know, mental state. What, how can you talk about being nimble and what that offers you in different parts of your life?
I think I've been really lucky. A lot of what I do now is the result of being in the right place at the right time. And uh and that is, yeah, that's really hard to plan. But I think the being nimble allows you to sort of take advantage of that luckiness and like grasp onto things that feel right in that moment, without letting the luck just sort of pass you by. Because I think it's easy to miss that if your mindset is focused on one track.
Yeah, I think that the ability to pivot quickly definitely helps to recalibrate. And I think most of the pivots that I've done in the past have helped sort of reuse past experiences a lot more than I anticipated. They've sort of built on each other in many ways. And I think stacking those skills has definitely reduced fear. I think when change has been necessary. Yeah, it's been fun to be able to adapt, but it took a long time to realize that that wasn't a bad thing.
I think we see it here too. I mean, we have elements of this in all of our lives. It's just this, you have this vision and it can be devastating and heartbreaking if it derails just a little bit. And it's self-defeating to I guess I'm trying to say this in a sensitive way to all of us. It's self-defeating if we're not looking to our stacked up skills to make that moment manageable and say, oh, it's okay. Like I got this over here. I don't need to stay on this straight linear path. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, because I think it depends on where you attach your identity, like what threads you attach your identity to, and knowing which ones are like the core ones that you feel are really, really important. And the ones you don't want to like cut or let go of.
Yeah.
That's really helpful.
I don't want to lose sight of how that main question of is creating a multifaceted practice a financial or creative decision? Because for most people, it is financially driven. Let's not kid ourselves. So I don't want this conversation we're not presenting this as a look at all the lucks we have in life to be able to float around and make these sort of, quick decisions. So I just want to ground this back in, like, this is having different avenues of income, skill set, and that nimbleness and the ability to pivot is sort of kind of like we have to have that at this point in time to have successful careers.
Yeah, I mean, like practically, the fact that I live in Massachusetts, where it's very easy to get a reasonably priced healthcare plan, is extremely helpful. And especially when I was making less money and eligible for certain coverage, that was a lifesaver. And so that's it's just kind of like a fact of the circumstances.
Yeah. What is something that you were not prepared for throughout your working life, positive or negative? And you can give us the worst situation.
It is lonely. It's quiet, at least for me. It's very, the quiet loneliness of self-directed work. I wasn't quite prepared for, especially, being here with friends and like-minded people and various backgrounds, working on projects, problem solving together. I miss that aspect a little bit. Yeah, so it's a bit quiet, so I end up talking to myself.
That's healthy.
It is.
But also, I mean, rigging boats is solitary as well. So the whole
Yeah,
everything you've set up is solitary.
it is. However, it is nice to sort of like own your purpose or own your path. Being very sort of independent work. Um, it's enjoyable to know that I'm self-sufficient in those paths. And it's great to work with teams and crews of boats. Uh, a lot of them are repeat clients. So I end up making close friends with a lot of them and working with them, which is nice. But it's a lot of that's like maybe 5% of what I do, sort of like it's a lot of just in-house planning and crunching numbers. It's quiet, but it's all
So
good.
that'll lead us to that question again is would you do it differently?
No,
So,
I
there
think
you
I
go.
need that.
What about you, Jen?
Yeah, I would say the life admin part of it, like how much time it can take, is probably the less savory version of of a surprise. But I think on the other side, just how much this life is a continued life of learning is really exciting and wonderful. And I'm always delighted and surprised. And you can find, yeah, I learned stuff everywhere and from everyone. It's so great.
Jen, how much do you think that sort of admin or like planning, scheduling, how much do you think that hinges on the work, or the work hinges on that, as opposed to the actual doing or making of what it is that you're?
Yeah. Well, luckily, yeah, I think that the institutional work helps that because it's so built in and I don't have to think about that scheduling.
Too rigid.
Yeah. And the schedule is sort of dictated for me. So that's a huge lift, which is a huge reason why I maintain this relationship with Tanglewood especially. And also there, it also solves the loneliness thing because we have so many techs working at one time, which is unusual. Yeah, so that helps provide structure in a way where otherwise I think I would be pretty aimless. Yeah.
So that gets back to the nuts and bolts and sort of the structural ecosystem of your professional life. Tanglewood is a big institution. They have HR, ADP, like it's all set up. So that is the luxury of that. But Morgan, are you billing? Are you in a similar system or you're doing
It's a lot of
self-billing?
admin. Yeah. It's a lot of admin. It's a lot of scheduling and planning and emails, but yeah, it's part of it.
Yeah. And do you have a percent, like a ratio of how much time that takes up for you?
Let's see. Probably, I mean, the actual physical work of doing it, mainly measuring boats, I'd say is like 30% of the time, and the other 70 is correspondence and scheduling and traveling and all over. But I think that's what helps sort of engage different parts of the brain, which is really helpful. Some part tangible, some part not, some part remote, which is helpful. But yeah,
it's just making me think of a ridiculous meme I saw earlier about ADHD brains, of how you can be terrified to send an email, but then you'll go teach yourself to retile your bathroom the next minute.
The side project is very real.
Yeah. But it's similar to what you're saying is like both of those pieces of your working life, just one will nurture the other, but you have to nurture, like you have to tend to both.
Right. And I think if you let one sort of take up too much time, you could run the risk of letting the other cannibalize the other. That's why it's been so helpful to have like the ability to do different things.
Yeah. I'll stop there as well, because we mentioned institutional work as in the sense of Tanglewood, or this could be for anyone. I mean, I know of I've heard of, and I know of some, say, piano technicians who will get a part-time benefited position at an institution and then do their private practice on the side. And there is that is institutional work is great for those of us who are terrible in admin because that you don't want to spend all of your time billing. So you can do both, or you can opt for one, and they're all great scenarios.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of freedom in that, but it's just a lot to always think about.
A question from our virtual attendees. What is something you are either glad you did or wish you had done in the first few years out of NBSS to continue to grow, develop your technical skills? That's a great question.
What do you wish you had done differently?
I don't know if was it differently, or what's something that you did to continue your skills in the first couple years out of
I mean, going
NBSS?
back to the teamwork aspect of having, it's pretty rare to be on a team of, we have about 5 piano technicians, 5 or 6 at a time. And that is unusual, especially if you're working with private clients. And so, and we have folks at all different amounts of experience, years of experience, and they come from different places and different working environments during the rest of the year. And so that, for me, every summer it's sort of like it's a fire hose level of relearning and continued learning that I think I'm so fortunate and glad to have that. And I've had that since I was at North Bennett. So being able to have that environment where there's a lot of interpersonal as well as independent learning is really, really amazing.
Thank you. And I was wrong, Morgan. Sorry, you were right. Something that you were either glad you did or wish you had done. Yeah.
I guess I'm really glad. I had moved shops around quite a bit before coming here, and that was always a huge pain. I'm really glad that I built out a space that I can have forever and move it wherever. Things I wish I did differently. No.
Can you speak to the container shop? Was that just a sort of was it a strategic financial business decision to do that, or was it because of a relationship you had with the marina, or both, or
It was sort of both. Yeah, I had worked at this marina, which is a great location to do the work. It's super well protected. They're very accommodating, friendly. But just the pain in the ass of moving workshop space is really challenging. In that location specifically, it was really hard to find space that fit my needs. And yeah, I just sort of I'd seen other people with containers. I mean, boats have their own containers and they're fit out. I was like, ooh, that could be an option. No, I'm really glad I did that. It was definitely a strategic move to save money. It's a lot cheaper in rent, and the location I can't beat.
So can one just go and buy a container?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It took some time to like design how I was going to do it.
Yeah.
And it's taken almost 2 years to fit it out so where everything has a home. I definitely have a bit of OCD with regards to that, but it's nice. It's great to have an organized space where I can focus on things that are really enjoyable and, have the half of it, devoted to marine equipment and the other half right next to it where I can play and do spec work and things like that. So
how much of what you do on a daily basis is dictated by market financial constraints versus self-directed interests? Is there any specific example you can give to illustrate the point? I mean, the way I would read this is you know, what's the bigger paycheck, what's the more steady paycheck, and that's probably where that's your priority. Isn't that
It has to be.
fair to say?
Yeah.
Yeah. And whatever you're doing that gives you the benefits or any extra, you know, that's priority, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I happened upon a professor early who did a lot of work on job framing in her research, and that has really shaped how I approach everything I do, I think, which is finding like my reason and what my work is for, in a way that sort of turns everything into a self-interest. And versus feeling like it's a have to do.
That's
I
so
think you have to like
interesting.
you have to create your motivation.
Mm-hmm.
And because otherwise for me it's like soul killing. So
That makes sense.
yeah. Yeah. And
It's
it's
your
not always the surface thing. And so yeah, it's just taking the time to reflect on what that is.
Mm-hmm. And the way I translate what you just said into Morgan's realm is the way you visualize you're stacking your skill set, and you can always just look to those. They reinforce you, they give you confidence in the other line of your bread and butter work. That's really interesting. It's kind of your own mental framing of those two jobs that you do. What's something, a skill or process that's very the business side of things, admin, that you wish you knew before starting a business? Tax prep, payroll, pricing, etc.
Taxes.
All of that. All of that.
Yeah.
Well, lucky for everyone.
I know.
There's
it's so good at preparing you for
Yeah,
that.
so there's another episode in this series that's this national tax pro specifically works for creatives. She's doing one of our one episode in this series, so you have to come watch her. She's like top level, and talk about also admin. Barbara Rukowski and I will be doing an episode on merchandising and asset organization, and which is a whole other piece of admin that even that's something that I'm terrible at. Like, how do you organize things so that you know exactly where they are? How do you label things, name files, store your photos, all of that stuff? That's part of the admin that no one necessarily prepares you for.
Well, I think it's so difficult because everyone works better in different ways, and there's so many different ways you can do it.
Mhm.
But financial stuff, I think, would have been helpful to learn more.
I think that's probably the number one thing any small business entrepreneur is going to say.
Yeah.
And why is that? It's because we think like, I'm ready to go. I have these skills and I'm just going to crush
Want to
it.
do.
I
Yeah.
want to go
Yeah.
make this thing. Yeah. Oof. Yes.
I'm curious, like coming out of school before you're kind of on the path of what your industrial career is going to be like. What was like a risk or a sacrifice specific that you had to take early on that allowed like those doors to open for that longer term vision, and like how did it come to fruition? Like what did that risk turn into for you?
Great question.
Mhm.
I think taking the risk to come here, I knew I had some time to devote. I did not realize that I'd be juggling a lot of work while in school. But it paid off as far as being able to pursue this on more than just an interest level. Um, and then the flip side of that is coming out of school, taking the risk of not fully immersing myself into furniture making, because the financial stability just wasn't there.
How do you feel about that?
I'm not sad. I was sad. I think initially, I think I was expecting a bit more commissions to come through, like any furniture student. But I'm okay with that. I think to be able to do that slowly is probably more advantageous. Um, yeah, I think, at least for me, I've enjoyed it. So
this brings me back to the being nimble piece of things. I mean, your drop is, you have shorter distance to fall if you're going into this with this nimble mind of,
Yeah.
and hopefully if you're fortunate enough to have that institutional sort of supportive work and then be able to have this playground. And playground's not the right word, it's just it's something that's more creatively fulfilling, might be more overall fulfilling.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think if you happen to be fortunate to have some choice in what you're doing, inherently by saying yes to something, oftentimes it means you're kind of letting something else go. And that can feel risky, like putting up a boundary and saying, I happened to get like a full-time offer for a job, and I kind of said no to that, and that felt scary. And there was like a little bit of foresight of, okay, I'm going to give this a try for this amount of time and like see what happens. And so it's helpful to set a boundary for yourself to know like what your threshold is, and know that ahead of time. But it takes a lot to, in a world where you feel like you have to say yes to everything, it takes a lot to know that you can say no. It's
Yeah.
scary.
I think, yeah, right. Saying no helps sort of protect your focus on
Yeah.
maybe what truly matters or what matters more to you in that stage.
Is there a grace period though in there where you have to say yes to everything just to sift through, well, to get your practice going?
Totally.
Right. Say
Yeah.
yes early and often, right? I think that helps it helps work kinks out and helps you determine, what your strengths are, what your interests are maybe more boiled down to.
Yeah, like early on when I was taking more private clients, I did say yes to pretty much everything that came in. And you learn a lot about what kind of clients you enjoy working with
Yes.
and what kind of jobs you like doing and like what environments and what relationships you want to have. So that period was extremely informative. Yeah.
And then so it shapes, sorry, I have you. It shapes you paring down that and saying yes early and often and deciding who you want to work with. That actually in turn makes you a much better technician.
Oh, yeah.
A much better
You learn a
service
lot.
person. Yeah. I'm thinking about two graduates who dove right in, or three graduates many years ago, dove right into a wood shop building bespoke custom furniture. And one of the commissions they received was just way out of control. And it helped shape and just hone exactly what their practice was going to be. Now they build really custom cabinets, but it's just a good example of say yes early and often. It's going to teach you so much.
And you never know what's going to come in.
Yeah.
Or what that yes might lead to.
Yeah. Sorry, what was your question?
So like the 70% like administrative billing, all that kind of stuff, and the 30% the work. And like I always find being here as a student, I'm in cabinet furniture. I'm always looking at like the 2-week course of building a guitar in Spain or things that like are fun that I kind of want to try and learn a new skill versus the 70% I know is billing and the how am I going to apply this? Like, have you guys, other than just hitting every single speed bump on the way of figuring out what works for you, like looked like is there? You guys just hit every speed bump when it comes to like the billing and that, or did you?
I'm still hitting speed bumps.
Yeah, I'm just like it's like those courses where it's like you can that 30% you can learn a new skill or add another tool in your box, but that 70% still. Like I wish there was like, did you guys find anything that helped or that kind of made things a bit easier for you personally, or just to help make things run more efficient so that 30% can creep up a little more? Or?
I think the numbers, like the 37 are maybe a bit like super specific for what I'm doing, but maybe it's true in other people's fields. But I didn't really find anything that made that easier. It's just the time put in has only gotten that much more efficient. But there's X amount of it that you just can't avoid. And I think that for me, it's just the correspondence of people who just don't know what what it is they need or want. Um, but yeah, I think those people are inevitable, and that 30%, if that's what you're enjoying doing, just keep doing that, and that offsets the 70%, makes it feel smaller.
I'm really liking this idea of finding a friend and like
Have an
having a
admin.
party. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to a bar. I just want to go run my Costco errands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
do
Costco
like
is
that.
fun. Yeah.
Costco is fun.
Yeah.
Anybody else in this room that has, yes?
So first, just thank you very much. My question is a little more future facing. Just, imagining 5 years from now, 10 years, recognizing that we tune our instincts to opportunity. But are there any, I'm just curious, if you had set any objectives or how far out you may be reaching or looking and thinking of how you might want proportions of time or effort to shift or geography to shift or scope of project to the fall.
That's a good question.
Great question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My big one is so right now I'm very lucky to have my summers in the Berkshires, which is a stunning place to live, and then also in the city here. And I would love to flip the proportions a bit and be more just on the earth. And so that's like my dream goal, have a garden, like a proper garden. So yeah.
Yeah, I think very similar in the regard of like flipping those proportions. I'd love to spend more time, doing the romantic woodworking, but yeah, so I think I'm still adding skills in the sort of marine trade sector, as very niche, which is very huge advantage as far as supplementing the sort of the creative work. But ideally, these clients that I'm meeting, I want all of them to, commission a piece. That would be the ideal world. So, getting a larger space. But for now, I'm quite content with just sort of building slowly and working those speed bumps out. Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes.
Self-promotion and how you market yourself or not. I could probably fall into it. I just want to do the work, but I don't know.
I'm terrible at it.
Me too.
Yeah. Yeah.
We answered the question.
I know.
Terrible
Yeah.
at it.
Yeah. Well, it took me a while to figure this out, but I'm much better in like a more intimate situation, like one-on-one or a small group of people. And the nodes, having those nodes that can like network out from there in terms of like person to person, mouth to mouth market promotion, for me has been the most helpful in all parts of my professional life. And over any other type. I'm not very good. I mean, this is lovely because I'm in a very comfortable and wonderful community, but otherwise I'd be extremely uncomfortable.
Before Morgan answers, the question that was asked for our virtual audience was around self-promotion. How do these two crafts tradespeople handle self-promotion?
Yeah, again, I'm not well versed in self-promotion. I think it's just something I don't enjoy as much doing. But I've been fortunate where a lot of it is word of mouth. So for the marine trades, it's all word of mouth, which I'm very lucky to have. I think without that, I wouldn't have that bread and butter. And yeah, I think, 5 years down the road, I think it would be helpful to get better at that, so I can, grow and maybe have some more people by my side. That'd be nice.
I think that goes back to some of the admin pieces. I mean, you can, if you do not have that, if you're not on social media, and if you just are disinterested in self-promoting on social media and spending all of your admin time on building a website or this, that, and the
Yeah.
other, then the trade-off is that you have to be a better in-person service person to keep the word of your work spreading through the community.
Right.
Mhm.
So that's one of those trade-offs.
Yeah. And going back to your point, it's much nicer to be one-on-one with people. And I think that engagement or that personal engagement makes the word of mouth growth that much better. So I'd much prefer to spend time doing that or focusing on being more efficient or graceful in that than being on Instagram promoting myself. No thanks. But not a knock at anyone who's doing that. I think it's very helpful.
Yeah. We're gonna end there unless anybody else has a question for our guests. But thank you all for being here. Jen and Morgan, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We have 7 more episodes of In the Making this season, so we'll see you at the next one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Oh, that was fun, Kristen. Thank you very much.
That was so great.
Yeah.
Kristen.